Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm sure we're all familiar with the Needler. You know, the gun that shoots pink needles that explode when enough land in an enemy. It was introduced in Halo Combat Evolved and was the only weapon of its kind. So when Halo Reach came out, a new weapon was introduced to the family. I've been wanting to do a challenge run on Halo Reach for a while now, so I came up with one that's entirely unique to this game. So I decided to find out. Can you beat Halo Reach with only the Needler and its bigger little brother? Technically no, so for those people that are just gonna comment, no, it's not possible, don't worry, this will be addressed. So, what are the rules? I may only kill enemies with the needle rifle and the needler, no melee, grenades, or vehicle weapons. The saber section on Long Night of Solace doesn't count as a fail, and the railgun section on Pillar of Autumn doesn't count as a fail either. So that's it for the rules. But I would also like to mention that I had the catch skull on, so in case there weren't any needle weapons around, I could get lucky and a grunt would accidentally kill one of its own kind. I'm only allowing the skull to be on because it's an actual scoring skull and not a non-scoring skull. Besides, since I can't use grenades, it's only going to make it more annoying for me anyway. Alright, let's get into it. To start off, I changed my Spartan's primary armor color to fit the theme of the video. I got recruited into the Noble team. Hi, I like needles. And we got briefed about our first mission. We flew our way to the area of the distress call and I booked it past everything and ran straight to the first Covenant encounter. I just sat back, looked pretty, and waited for my team to kill the enemies that had the weapons I needed. After just a few seconds, I got my hands on both needle weapons and ran for the truck. George did kill a skirmisher that had a needle rifle, so I got some more ammo thankfully. We got to the Marines and saved them with no problem at all, and we took another Falcon ride to our next destination and held off there while we waited for Cat. I mainly just sat back in the room and picked off any non-shielded enemies. That went off without a hitch thankfully, and oh, there's a body. We got ambushed by some zealots, so now it was up to me and George to kill the Covenant. Unfortunately though for me, once I got back into the gameplay, I started out with an AR and a Magnum, so I had to wait again for George to kill an enemy with a Needler. That didn't take long, and surprisingly there wasn't a shortage of ammo. I managed to survive a slice from the Sword Zealot, but killed him before he can get another hit on me. And the Concussion Rifle Zealot also went down pretty easy. Alright, cool. We're off to a strong start. The beginning of Sword Base took far longer than it usually does, and especially so because there was barely any Needler ammo, and when I did run out of ammo, I had to solely rely on Cat to finish off the rest of the Covenant, which was a task in and of itself. Eventually she did kill everything and we were on our way to the area with the wraiths. The middle section of this level, you don't even have to fight anything if you don't want to, so I ran past any Covenant I didn't have to fight and activated all the required switches to move on. Once I was at the second area, I activated those switches and saw that there were some jackals and skirmishers with needle rifles, so I had to rely on Cat to kill at least one so I could pick up the needle rifle and kill the rest myself to pick up the ammo for later use. Once I did that, I ran back to the area where the wraiths were and surprise surprise, they're still there. I did just run past them and got to my first encounter with hunters. So when it comes to fighting hunters, I didn't know if it'd be more difficult or a lot easier due to the super combine effect these weapons have. But before I can get my answer, I was rudely blown up by an elite and was sent back to the wraith section. I got back to the hunter area again, and to my surprise the super combine works great on the hunters because I didn't struggle in the slightest. Me and Kat made it to the Oni building and we all made our way upstairs to meet up with Emil. And speaking of Emil, when I did get to him, he thankfully took care of the elite general for me. So in this section, you're typically supposed to pick up a rocket launcher and destroy the Banshees and Phantom, but obviously I can't do this time around. I still had some of my fire team with me at this point, so I gave them all rocket launchers in my stead. And they did great, is what I would say if they didn't just stand around doing nothing while Emil did all the work, and thankfully he did. Cue the cutscene, and now we're on Nightfall. As any Halo Reach veteran knows, this level's a speedrunner's dream. It is incredibly easy to just run past everything and beat this level without firing a single bullet. While I did opt to ignore everything and just run past any enemies I could, when I got to the section with the grunts and the Gutas, there was a needle rifle just lying around on the ground, which would be helpful so I didn't get interrupted or killed while performing the forklift skip. After third luck's charm, I phased through the gate and this level was over at that point, since the skip doesn't load the Covenant here. Ah, tip of the spear. What a good level. I skipped the starting section and ran my way to the first anti-air cannon. I took it out with no problem and continued to ignore any enemy I wasn't required to fight. This level was a lot easier than I was anticipating, and I really spent most of my time trying to perform this little skip here with the truck. It despawns the Zealot, so he won't be a problem, and once I got back outside, I got in this ghost and made my way to the second anti-air cannon. I ignored the wraiths and went straight for the cannon's core. I blew it up and the Pelican flew in with some reinforcements. They didn't last very long unfortunately, but the Pelican at least took care of the wraiths for me, so all I had to do was kill the hunters. I picked up as much ammo as I could for my weapons and hopped in the Falcon. Typically when you get in the Falcon, you would use the gun to kill everything you see while you make your way to the spire, but I can't do that this time around, so I just had to get good RNG. I died on the first flight, but the second one went a lot smoother. With all the ammo I picked up in the final section, this shouldn't be too hard. Wait, please tell me you're kidding. George, you're a curse, man. This is twice now that it was just us and my weapons reset. Since the game decided I wasn't worthy of the pink needles, I had to wait for George to kill an enemy that had the weapon I needed. I got my hands on both weapons almost right away, and I looked around for ammo before heading up. After my search, I picked off the tower crew with ease and finished the level. One cutscene about using expensive technology as a bomb later, or on the beachfront. Same case, wait for the crew to kill an enemy, pick up required weapon, then get some ammo for said weapon, and then make my way to the level. I got into the saber, and now this is the closest I'll get to playing the game normally. So while we're here, all I have to say is that this section was completely normal and just kind of boring. And while we're still here, if you've been enjoying the content, do feel free to leave a like, comment, and maybe even subscribe. It might seem small, but it really does go a long way, and I appreciate all the support everyone shows. Alright, quick shameless plug aside, I got inside the Corvette, and thankfully I still had my weapons I picked up on the beach. There was plenty of ammo, and the entirety of the Corvette break-in went pretty smoothly, despite the occasional unsuspecting plasma grenade. The Savannah got blown into smithereens, so there goes our ride home. Once I cleared the control room of the Covenant, I set the ship on path to the supercarrier. The firefight section with George back at the Pelican was incredibly easy as well. Even the wave of 3 Elite Ultras wasn't a problem. Easy mission, would super combine again. Alright, so before I start talking about the beginning of this mission, let me just do some quick math, because, spoiler alert, there was not a single needle rifle in this level, so I had to solely rely on the needler and only the needler. Alright, to the math. So, the needler can have a max of 96 needles in the reserves and 24 in the clip, so I have a total of 120 shots. It takes 6 needles to super combine, and unless I'm fighting a hunter, everything dies with just 1 super combine. So if it takes 6 needle shots to combine and I have a max amount of 120, that means I only get 20 kills with full ammo? Of course there'll be ammo along the way, but this time around I'm a bit more limited. And while we're still in math class, let's go ahead and talk about the needle rifle as well. The rifle's clip carries 21 needles, while in the reserves it holds 84. So 105 in total, and it only takes 3 needles to super combine. So that would be 35 kills. And of course that's not including headshots because this is a precision weapon after all. Alright, class is over, time for recess. Yes, sorry, I mean to talk about this mission. The suicide grunt section went pretty smoothly, especially since armor lock is incredibly helpful. Emphasis on P. The suicide grunt section went pretty smoothly, especially since armor lock is incredibly helpful for blocking the explosions. Also, I found out that unshielded brute chieftains die with 1 super combine. So long story short, I had a hard time on the first go round of this mission. I made it to the landing pad with the 2 shade turrets, but only had 13 shots left, and there's only enough to take out the shade turrets, and that was it. I tried again and again and again to get one of the other enemies to throw a plasma grenade to kill one of the jackals with a needler, but even then I had to get good RNG to get a jackal with a needler from the spawning phantom. After half an hour of getting nowhere, I decided to start this level over. The idea this time around is to conserve as much ammo as possible and only kill when necessary. By the time I got to the landing pad and the phantom spawned in, I had 2 full clips. Much better. Once the pad was cleared out, it was time for another falcon ride. And again, I just had to get lucky not to get shot too much and die. Same case as tip of the spear. I died on the first time, but made it on the second. Once I did get to my destination, I had the misconception that I needed to kill the Covenant here to be able to land, but I was wrong and just had to wait for the sergeant here to exhaust his dialogue. Once I was back on the ground, I hopped in this Warthog with some Marines to utilize them to take out the 2 brute chieftains that spawned near the final switch to end the mission. Once they were dead, I drove to each individual switch and activated them while ignoring every enemy I could, because if I didn't have to kill them, why would I waste the ammo? Either way, this final section was definitely the easiest part of the level. Very happy that this level is possible since I only had access to half of my arsenal. So here's one I was a bit more worried about. New Alexandria. So New Alexandria was another easy level once I was able to get past the roadblock that was the hospital. At first I thought it was RNG on which building you had to go to first, but after restarting the level a handful of times, that was just simply not the case. The main issue with the hospital was it was really difficult to get a grunt to throw a plasma grenade, and even if one did, there was no guarantee it would kill anything because there was an engineer giving every enemy in the area overshields. My only solution was to fly my Falcon into the door at the hospital so one of my gunners could kill the enemies for me. But the entire time I had to hop back in and out of the pilot seat because the door wouldn't stay open while I was in the seat, but my gunner wouldn't shoot if I was out of my seat. Eventually I did get my hands on a needler and then later on a needle rifle. After taking out most of the brutes, I shut down the jammer, and ran back outside to my Falcon. Up next was to help guard some Marines on the top of a tower. I let my gunners take care of the skirmishers, and they had needle rifles, so more ammo for me. The next jammer was located at the building with the drones ambush. I snuck in behind enemy lines, shut down the jammer, killed a few drones for some needler ammo because there's quite a few of them actually, then made my way back to my Falcon. Up next was another one of the side objectives, and it was pretty much the same one as the last one, just minus the Marines. Just kill some Covenant on top of... Ooh, my voice cracked. All I had to do was just kill some Covenant on top of another tower, and I let my gunners take care of those guys too. Now it was time for the final jammer at the disco-like building. I killed one of the hunters guarding the jammer, and I shut that one down, ran back to my Falcon, repeat ad nauseum. Final task of the mission was to take out the 6 shade turrets firing at the tower that the rest of Noble Team were in, and once again I let my gunners take care of them and this level was over. So surprisingly enough, this mission was possible with only needle weapons. The cutscene played and Cat got domed in the head by an elite zealot who is also apparently doing his own needle weapons only run.
Priority 1.
Alright, we're in the home stretch now. So, of course, I don't spawn with any needle weapons, so I had to do some workarounds for that. Thankfully, a grunt had a weak arm and blew himself up, so I was able to pick up his needler. At first, I got in the Scorpion with my ODSTs and just let them shoot everything while I drove, but then I opted to get in this Reverent to move faster. I was able to take out both of the anti-air cannons with ease and got my hands on the needle rifle as well. I took out the fuel rod shade turrets and was able to meet back up with what remained of Noble Team. We worked our way through the inside of Sword Base and I got stocked up on some needle rifle ammo for the big fight underground. One cutscene later and thankfully I got to keep my weapons. Man, I guess George really was just a curse that reset my weapons. And while I did just call it a big fight, it really wasn't. So for the majority of the fight, I just stuck back with Noble Team and picked off whatever enemies I could. Once Halsey opened up the doors, it was time to... Never mind. Second go around of this, I actually made it to the door and alive this time. Once inside, Halsey and Cortana entrusted me to take her to the pillar bottom, and it was time to go. Carter wasn't doing too good and decided to kick me and Emil to the curb. I waited for Emil to kill some enemies, pick up the weapon I needed, drive past everything, and skip this little section here with the Wraith. I also got my hands on the needle rifle because of some jackal snipers here, so that's good news. I ran past the drone section and everything else that I could skip because I would need to conserve my ammo for the final fight ahead. Me and Emil double teamed this elite ultra. He did not stand a chance. We took out the hunters no problem, even though I did most of the work. And finally, once I made it to the landing pad, I had a fair amount of ammo, but it definitely could have been better. Almost right away, I was running low on ammo because there was very few enemies being dropped off with needlers, and the chieftains I had to fight all had shields, so that didn't help with eating up what little ammo I had left. By the time the last wave of Covenant were dropped off, there was only one grunt with the needler, and with what he dropped, I only had 25 needles left, and I had to use half of them to kill the last brute chieftain. Thankfully for me, the game decided the landing pad was clear when it actually wasn't.
Noble Team, pad is clear. On my way.
But thank God it did decide that was clear because I only had 9 needles left. And since it was a needler and not the needle rifle, that only means 1 super combine. I handed Cortana over to Captain Keyes and unfortunately watched as Emil got turned into a kebab.
Who's next?
Okay, I am literally in the home stretch now. Please tell me one of these 3 grunts have a needler. Great, they don't. Since I didn't have the ammo to fight literally anything here because these are all high-ranking elites with strong shields, I decided I might as well try to run straight to the railgun and ignore everything in my path. Surprisingly enough, this idea worked. And once I was on the same platform as the railgun, all the zealots on the lower level decided to admire me from a distance and didn't come up here to kill me. And while I know I said the railgun section doesn't count as a fail, I only used it to take out the cruiser and not the phantoms because if you don't get in the railgun and you just hide here, you can wait out until the cruiser is in position to take it out. So the cutscene played and the pillar bomb got away safely. It should go without saying, but Lone Wolf is also possible with only needle weapons because all you have to do is die. Paint me surprised because honestly, I did not think this one was possible. Other than those 2 sections I mentioned at the beginning that aren't possible, the rest of the campaign is possible with only the needler and needle rifle. So for those of you who are still here, I'd like to let you all in on what I have going on for the Halo CE 100 sub special I was gonna do. While it's still in the works, the idea being Cursed Halo, but only D20 grenades. And I thought I'd let you all know because you all have been showing so much support recently, and I cannot be more grateful. As always, if you enjoyed the video and you want to see more content like this, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.